if we talk about real estate networking groups, because that's a pretty common thing that people want to get started, that was really founded on the principles of running a referral-based business, but it was also something happens when it's geographically exclusive too, right? Where Gary Clausen, who was one of the founders of the group, said, you better ideas come when you don't feel like you're cutting each other's lawn, right? Like where it's not, where you share more and, I mean, to some extent, if people in our marketplace, take what we have and copy it, it's not a big deal, but there are still some things that you want to keep a little bit. Most of the time what happens is when somebody grabs an idea or uses it, it's like you're on to the next thing by the time they figure it out anyway, right? So I'm not too worried about that. And I think the other thing is, like, if my crop is better and I teach you how to make better crops, like we're gonna have less weeds and garbage and all that other stuff. Like, I think that having better people in your marketplace is always a good idea. That's always been it's like there's an abundance mindset there. Now, Over a Pint, I don't know if you're comfortable kind of sharing, but I love the way that you explained that business model. I think it was at the Blue Mountain Conference, so I think you're open to discussing. But the role of Over a Pint in your business is what?
So there's two. Like, I open about this part is I actually don't care if people watch the show. I mean, I like it, and it definitely helps. Like, I've noticed an increase in business since we have had a lot of views. Like, our top episode's at like 140,000. But it's just as much to get in front of and spend time with the people I want to spend time with, and that could help our business.
Yeah, because you're in the idea exchange business, right?
And it's incredibly valuable because, like, and that's one of the reasons it's in person only. Because, like, if I just did like a Skype and, like, for instance, like the first episode you were on, like, if it was just a Skype call for an hour, that would have been a much different relationship we'd end up with out of it than having, like, not only did we spend, like, I think it was an hour and a half, 2 hours filming, and we spent like an hour and a half after. That's a much different relationship that comes out of it.
And we actually didn't know each other that well
before.
Like, we knew of each other, and it was like, I
think we had chatted once on the phone.
Exactly.
And
like,
now you guys are sitting here shirtless, right?
I'm in his shorts.
Total comfort.
This was kind
total
of
comfort.
This was the last minute audible. Like, we're gonna film at the office. It's like, well,
then we're gonna film at the table.
And then we said, well,
we
jump
adapt.
in. Why not? So you said you don't. It doesn't matter if people see the episode.
The time with the people I want, and then, like, because I've probably gotten more, or maybe now, because, like, we have a whole sales funnel attached to people who watch the show. Before we kind of ironed that out a bit, we got just as many, probably way more business from people who are on the show, whether directly or as a referral, or like things that came out of it, than people who watch the show being retargeted with ads. And then it's like so many relationships formed, and it's just a great way too. Like, if there's someone you want to learn from them, leveraging a show that can promote them to get you time with them. So, like, you can use like Dean Jackson or Nicholas Kuzmich as examples. Like, those are big guys who are hard to get. Time
like people hire them for thousands and thousands of dollars, sometimes an hour. I spend the equivalent of like $15,000 worth of consulting with Dean Jackson for free because I had him on the show. Then we went out for lunch after, and we chatted business the whole time. And, like, you don't get that without a show. Like, maybe with Dean. Dean's a nice guy. But there's a lot of people like there who would never. But I've seen it firsthand. There's hundreds of people that are just chomping at the bit to get 5 minutes of Dean, right? So it's a tough decision when you're in that status. Like, who do you choose, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's where the show's great, because it always gives you a reason to connect with someone.
Right. I was happy that Phil Soper said, "Oh, you had Chuck on."
Yeah,
Phil.
You were pretty sure the reason he came on, which eventually led to me becoming the Royal LePage preferred supplier.
Wow!
Because it started from that episode. Because I actually didn't know Phil before, besides Facebook friends. And then I was just like, Phil would be great to have on the show. So I sent him a message, be like, "Hey, I have this show. I've even had some Royal LePage on it, agents on it. I'd love to get you on too." And he goes, "Oh yeah, I've actually seen Chuck's episode or parts of Chuck's episodes. I think it was like an hour and a half." And he's like, "Yeah, I'd love to do it." And then I ended up doing a couple hours with him. I think we spent 3.5 hours together that day. And then we ended up then on a speaking tour, like a couple brokerage kickoffs together. One was your brokerage. And then that kind of ended up one thing led to another, and we ended up having meetings and becoming the preferred supplier through, basically it started with Over A Pint with Phil.
Yeah.
And then obviously like a lot of business comes out of that type of thing, but wouldn't have happened without it. But like, I like when you, especially with the shows, getting to spend time with people like that, and like you can see why they're in the positions they are. Like they get things quicker than most, and like they know what they're talking about all the time.